and welcome to the grade Data Analysis Best Practices video. In this video, we will share what one can expect to see and hear as they visit mathematics classrooms. This video with a little data joke. Wow, the number of minutes I can dog pedal is growing like crazy. Better check the scale on that y-axis, buddy. While in second grade, students don't have to know what a y-axis is. They will be responsible for creating bar graphs, as well as pictographs and tables that include scales of 1s, 5s, or 10s, and interpreting the data from them. This unit of study will encompass the following key learning goals. Examples of some of these goals can be found on the STEMscopes parent letter. I can collect, categorize, and represent data using tally marks or tables. I can collect, categorize, and represent data using pictographs or bar graphs with scales limited to 1s, 5s, or 10s. I can use appropriate titles, labels, and units when I collect, categorize, and represent data. I can represent data horizontally and vertically. I can interpret data represented with tally marks or tables. I can interpret data represented with pictographs or bar graphs with scales limited to 1s, 5s, or 10s. And I can interpret data to solve problems involving addition and subtraction limited to numbers with sums within 100 and related differences. So what should we see happening in the classroom to help students achieve these goals? Teachers should be providing multiple opportunities for students to show their understanding of using tables and tally marks when creating bar graphs and pictographs. Students should be able to discuss connections between data representations and justify why the representation they chose is the most appropriate for the context of the problem. They should also be able to analyze data and answer questions about the data. As you can see, there is an MTR poster on the side. So what MTRs align with this scope or unit? MTR 4, which is engage in discussions that reflect on the mathematical thinking of self and others, is seen when students discuss the data they have collected, categorized, and represented in order to reflect on their interpretations. MTR 6, which is assess the reasonableness of solutions, is seen when students explain how they represented the data in order to determine if their representations make sense. And MTR 7, which is apply mathematics to real-world context, is seen when students collect real-world data in order to connect the learning to everyday life. We see a progression here that shows students working from tally marks to then putting those tally marks into a table and creating a bar graph and pictographs, and then answering questions about that data and doing their representation pictorially, and then even writing number sentences about their data. So what does student learning sound like in the classroom? Students should be invited to have math chats to discuss their learning. The types of questions teachers choose will help dictate the direction of student conversations. These example questions and possible student answers can be found in the math chat section of STEMscopes, as well as the fundamental questions section. These questions provide opportunities for students to justify and explain their reasoning, which connects to MTR 4. While some of these questions are specific to some of the activities in the Explore sections for this unit or scope, they can easily be tweaked for any activity. As students explore, we should hear students and teachers utilizing correct mathematical vocabulary. Here's a list of some vocabulary we would expect to hear in this unit. These words can be found on the STEMscopes parent letter as well. Bar graph, pictograph, table, tally marks, scaled interval, axis, and key are very important vocabulary words students and teachers should be using. In addition to this vocabulary, it is also important that students have a concrete understanding of the following terms: Categorize, which is to arrange as a collection of objects with shared attributes. Data, which is information or a collection of facts including numbers, words, or observations. Difference, a number that is the result of subtraction. Interpret, which means explain or to give or provide meaning. Label, a word or phrase indicating the particular categories. Represent, to describe or depict a concept. Sum, the answer to an addition problem. Title, which is a name or a heading, and unit, which is a quantity used as a standard of measurement. How will we see our students demonstrating their knowledge of this content? Throughout this unit of study, we should see multiple opportunities for students to demonstrate their understanding and knowledge. This could be through student journals, exit tickets, or during the Explores, as well as Show What You Know tasks. Students can also use fluency builders, math stories, and games to practice. These can provide teachers with informal assessments. These activities demonstrate MTRs 4, 6, and 7 as well. A few examples of these are shown here. As we visit classrooms, we can ask students questions to gauge their understanding of the current content. Here we see some questions we can ask students and possible answers they may give to show understanding. Additional questions can be found on mathsmarts.com, which can be found by clicking on the benchmark link on the Year at a Glance. Through questioning, we may be able to identify common misconceptions or errors, such as that students may formulate questions that only involve mathematical data. And also, students may ignore categories and only list data points. For example, students may be collecting data on favorite color, so 8 red, 5 blue, 7 green, and may only list 8, 5, and 7. Additionally, students may put the data totals in incorrect categories. Also, students may misrepresent the count for each data point. They may miscount the number of pictures in a pictograph or misread the height of a bar in a bar graph. And they may think that one picture of an item in a pictograph represents only one item. These are not the only misconceptions that students may encounter. We want students to continue learning at home. Here, students can choose some of the activities from the tic-tac-toe board. This board can be found on the parent letter. The sticker chart activity is one of the activities from the tic-tac-toe board shown. Many children already have chores that they do at home and probably have a way to keep track of them. Incorporating tally marks, tables, pictographs, and/or bar graphs into this should be an easy way to include mathematical learning from school at home. Additionally, parents can point out bar graphs and pictographs when they are seen at home. Asking children questions about what the data shows allows for real-world connections. Well, that's all for this video. May the data be ever in your favor. And remember, there's data everywhere. See you next time.